Incredible twist, single mom saves stranger's life, unknowingly rescues CEO and finds love. Most days, Rebecca felt like a juggler on a tightrope, balancing two demanding jobs and raising her asthmatic son, Jake. The heartwarming aroma of freshly baked pies wafted through the air of their small Midwestern town, yet behind the sweet surface lay the bitter reality of bills stacked high and worries that never ceased. She could hear the laughter of children playing, yet anxiety clawed at her insides like an uninvited guest. Would today be the day she'd finally crack under the pressure? The weight of expectation, her mother's voice echoing in her mind, "You must persevere," Rebecca added to the burden that it was a fateful evening when she volunteered at the community center, a place that had seen better days but was a vital lifeline for folks like her. Surrounded by chatter and movement, Rebecca spotted a sharply dressed man, Alex, who seemed entirely out of place. His neat attire contrasted starkly with the faded wallpaper and chipped chairs. Out of nowhere, he collapsed before her, and panic seized her. For a moment, everything blurred, her heart raced as she knelt beside him. Could she really save a man like this, someone who appeared so removed from her world? Yet instinct kicked in. Her hands trembled as she administered CPR, her breaths uneven. What if she failed? What if she made the situation worse? Instead, she felt a growing certainty, fueled by the love for Jake, that pushed her through this terrifying moment. As Alex regained consciousness, Rebecca felt a mix of relief and confusion. Why did she care so much about a man she'd never met? Outside, life continued, unaware of the turmoil inside her. He returned the next day, eager to express gratitude, yet Rebecca faced a dilemma. She could either let down her guard or remain the worried mother who had learned to survive on her terms. The moment they began to talk, she revealed her dreams of becoming a nurse, driven by the fierce determination to provide a better life for Jake. Alex listened intently, nodding, but she could sense the weight resting on him, the tension in his shoulders telling her he was grappling with decisions of his own. Could a man in his position ever understand the constant struggle of the working class? Before we continue, I need to tell you about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, click the bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can leave a like, it really helps with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, tell me in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue. With newfound hope blooming in her heart, the pressure she felt began to mount again as she noticed funding for the community center was at risk. What if Alex was part of that decision? Dread settled inside her like a stone. How could he put profit over people? Would she stand by and let her dreams slip away just like that? The looming threat kept her up at night, knotted in fear. How would she protect Jake, their world, if she had to face Alex's choices? As days turned into weeks, Rebecca's internal battle intensified. She felt torn between her growing affection for Alex and her anxiety for her community. Every interaction left her more uncertain, revealing layers of herself she hadn't dared to confront. Their quiet coffee chats became fraught with unspoken words, and tensions grew. Just as Alex faced mounting pressures from investors, Rebecca found herself on a precipice, unsure of whether to protect her heart or fight for her dreams. Would he side with ambition, or could love find a way through the chaos? As shadows of doubt wove through her thoughts, Rebecca braced herself for the reckoning ahead. Rebecca stared at the ceiling, the dim light filtering through the slats of the blinds, unable to shake the nagging sense that time was slipping away. Each tick of the clock echoed like a reminder of her mounting responsibilities. She could hear Jake's soft breaths in the next room, a soothing reminder of why she pushed through the fatigue. Yet, beneath that comfort lay an undercurrent of anxiety that refused to let her rest. The conversations she had with Alex lingered in her mind, the flirtation, the shared dreams, yet the stark reality of their differing worlds weighed heavily on her. In her heart, Rebecca sensed the potential for something more, but the looming threat of funding cuts to the community center cast a shadow over her budding feelings. What would happen if Alex, in his intricate world of business decisions, let her down? She took a deep breath, resolving to confront the situation. It was time to gather her thoughts and figure out a way to bring this discussion to the forefront. After all, she needed to know where Alex stood on these issues if she were to even think about trusting him. That evening, as Jake settled into bed with his favorite storybook, Rebecca put the finishing touches on her resume for her nursing program. The soft page flipping was an anchor as she focused her thoughts. Each word she wrote felt like a whisper of ambition, a declaration that she would not accept a life dictated by someone else's choices. The next morning, she went to the coffee shop she had grown fond of, hoping that it would provide the casual setting she needed to broach these heavy topics. When Alex entered, he greeted her with a warm smile that momentarily washed away her worries. Yet, she felt her stomach twist as the small talk faded away. "Can we talk?" she asked, her voice steady but her heart racing. His eyebrows knitted together, sensing the gravity behind her request. "Of course. What's on your mind?" Rebecca took a deep breath, remembering the first moments they shared at the community center. "I've been thinking a lot about what you do and how it affects places like our town." His expression shifted, gauging her words. "What do you mean?" "I guess I'm just curious about how your decisions play into funding for community initiatives. You're a CEO. Do you prioritize profit over people?" The question hung in the air, charged with tension. She watched him consider his response, the gears of his mind visibly turning. "It's complicated, Rebecca. There are investors to consider, margins to meet. But I also see the value in people, in community." His answer barely scratched the surface, leaving Rebecca feeling like she was missing something. "How do you reconcile integrity with necessity? Can you promise me this?" She pressed, impatience edging into her voice. "When you make decisions about funding, think about how it affects real lives like mine, like Jake's. Promise me you won't forget that." A flicker of hesitation crossed his face. "I can't promise anything without understanding the full implications." The acknowledgement rattled her. Here was a man wrestling with moral ambiguity, just like her. Yet, as the conversation unfolded, Rebecca felt a growing resolve. She wouldn't allow their differences to diminish her desires or dreams. If he truly cared, he would find a way to navigate this. As they parted ways, Rebecca felt the weight of her convictions pushing her forward, even as doubt loomed. Could she balance her growing feelings for Alex with her need for security and activism? A storm was brewing, and she could feel it, restless in her gut. Days passed, and while she reviewed applications for nursing schools, the phone call she had been waiting for came, an invitation to meet with a potential investor for her own project. Just as she prepared to step into a new venture, Rebecca saw Alex's name on her phone. Could he understand the importance of what was to come? The moment had arrived. It was time to confront the depths of her ambitions, even if it meant placing her heart on the line. But would she also risk the fragile connection with Alex? As uncertainty hung in the air, the next chapter of her life awaited her decision, ready to challenge everything she had come to accept. Rebecca paced the small confines of her living room, the ticking clock now a relentless reminder of the opportunity she was about to seize. An invitation to meet with the investor was both exhilarating and terrifying. Each step she took towards her decision felt fraught with weight. The potential to define her future was at stake, yet the risk of personal attachment loomed like a shadow behind her. She could already feel the excitement of the early morning coffee spreading through her thoughts, fueling her resolve. She needed to prepare. She had only one chance to make a lasting impression. Unsure of where to begin, she made a list of the key points she wanted to address, but also encouraged herself to be authentic. This was about her vision, her dreams. This was about her. Before she could get lost in her anxiety, she quickly skimmed through the financials and projections she had crafted for the community project. The numbers crunched under her careful eye, and for a moment, she could see the outlines of her ambitions crystallizing not just as dreams, but as actionable goals. What if she could secure this investment and turn ideas into reality? What if she could make a difference in more than just her own life? Then it hit her. She had to be prepared to articulate not only what she hoped to achieve, but also how it served a more significant purpose. She recalled her conversation with Alex, the importance of community, of nurturing real relationships. It was now an intricate part of her vision. Later that day, she arrived at the sleek office building that housed investors like the one she was about to meet. The steel and glass made her feel small and insignificant, yet inside her heart pulsed with unyielding determination. Amidst the backdrop of polished floors and sterile conference rooms, Rebecca found herself questioning her worth. Was she prepared to advocate for herself? Inside, she was greeted by a figure whose presence seemed to command the room. Mr. Carter, the investor, was all business, a man who held the keys to doors she desperately wanted to unlock. They exchanged pleasantries, and as he gestured for her to sit, she felt the weight of expectation rolling off him in waves. Her palms became clammy, but she forced herself to lean forward, confident posture firmly established. "Tell me about your project, Rebecca," he prompted, his steely gaze fixed on her. In response, she launched into her carefully crafted pitch, her voice growing stronger with each word. "I believe that investing in our community not only strengthens its roots but also fosters innovation and growth. It's not just about profitability, it's about sustainability and resilience." She could see the flicker of interest in his eyes, and she pressed on. Her heart raced as she highlighted the potential impact of her project on local families, including her own. This was her life story woven into every sentence, every goal a risk that felt simultaneously liberating and terrifying. She revealed the financial projections, the community benefits, and even how her experiences as a single mother gave her a unique perspective on the importance of support systems. To her surprise, Mr. Carter leaned back, arms crossed, a thoughtful expression on his face. "You've put a lot of heart into this, and I can see your determination. But tell me, how do you handle setbacks? How do you plan to keep moving forward when things don't go as planned?" Rebecca hesitated. This query sliced through her rehearsed narrative, prompting reflection on her struggles. "I've learned that resilience is built from overcoming challenges. Every setback is just a lesson. When I face difficulties, I think of my son, and how I can create a better future for him. That's my driving force." Mr. Carter nodded, intrigued. "That's a compelling point. You're passionate, and I respect that. But can you handle the pressure? The noise, the expectations?" Her mind instantly shifted to Alex's words, the moral ambiguities of business decisions. Yes, it was a labyrinth of complexities, and this moment was no different. "I can handle pressure because this is more than just a project for me. It's a commitment. To myself, to my son, and to our community. I won't back down." As the conversation progressed, Rebecca sensed something shifting within her. The room felt less intimidating. The man before her was no longer an imposing barrier but rather a partner in possibility, yet, as they wrapped up their meeting, a knot twisted in her stomach. She thought about Alex, the conversations they shared, the complications of their worlds colliding. Was she ready to proclaim her own identity while potentially stepping into uncharted territory with him? Leaving the office, deep in thought, she found her phone buzzing with a message. It was Alex. "Can we talk? I need to see you." Her pulse quickened, the ambiguity of her feelings rushing back. The investor meeting felt like a major breakthrough, but her emotional landscape was still churning. The challenge ahead loomed. Could she truly merge her personal ambitions with the budding relationship with Alex and navigate the impending challenges? As she stepped into the twilight, a mix of excitement and apprehension filled the air, leading her toward an uncharted crossroads. What were the stakes if she embraced both paths fully? Rebecca stared at the screen of her phone, Alex's message echoing in her mind like a siren call. Her heart raced, a mix of curiosity and uncertainty battling within her. Could she truly balance the weight of her ambitions and the complexities of her feelings for him? This conversation felt inevitable, but with a purpose her subconscious couldn't quite define. Taking a deep breath, she walked to her car. As she drove through the quiet streets, her mind flickered back to Mr. Carter's penetrating questions. The weight of the meeting pressed on her chest like an anchor. Could she transform those doubts lurking in her mind into actionable learnings? Or would they suffocate her aspirations under the guise of practicality? Arriving home, she opened her laptop, distractedly scrolling through her project files instead of responding to Alex. The financial projections glared back at her, a stark contrast to the emotional confrontation she anticipated. Each number reminded her of her drive, her purpose, the need to evolve not just as an entrepreneur but as an individual. After some internal battle, she finally decided to reply to Alex. "I can meet. Let me know when." With that, she forced her focus back to the project. The early excitement of the investor meeting began subsiding, replaced by a nagging thought: was she ambitious enough? She opened a blank document, typing a personal reflection. She had avoided her vulnerabilities, her frayed edges amid the business acumen. What was it that she truly feared losing? Would admitting her feelings for Alex somehow make her weaker? Her fingers moved quickly, fusing past experiences with present aspirations. Each sentence became a catalyst for recognition. Yes, she had faced her fair share of rejections, each more painful than the last. Yet with every setback came a new fear and simultaneously, a newfound resilience. Advice from her past echoing through her thoughts urged her to embrace her emotions rather than bury them in pursuit of surface success. Just then, her phone buzzed again, snapping her from her reverie. It was Alex, suggesting they meet at a small cafe in 2 hours. She could feel the knot tightening in her stomach again as anticipation spilled over into anxiety. As the minutes ticked down, Rebecca's mind churned. This moment could shape both her personal life and career trajectory. Did she dare interweave her burgeoning emotions for Alex into her professional identity? Or could this blend catapult her into a realm she was vulnerable enough to explore? Arriving at the cafe, her heart thrummed erratically. The familiar scent of coffee wrapped around her like an old blanket as she spotted Alex at a corner table, his fingers wrapped around a steaming cup. The moment their eyes met, an electric pulse surged through her, a potent reminder of the connection they shared. "Hey, Rebecca," he greeted, a hint of uncertainty lacing his tone. "Hey," she replied softly, sliding into the chair opposite him. For a brief moment, they exchanged pleasantries, the conversation oscillating between light discussions and a palpable tension. Yet beneath the surface glimmered the real reason they were here, the unspoken feelings that had lingered long enough to demand attention. Alex cleared his throat, drawing in a deep breath. "I wanted to talk about us. I've had time to think about everything, and it feels like there is something more between us. But I know you have your project, and I worry I don't want to add pressure." Rebecca felt a jolt of vulnerability. The familiar dance of doubts returned. "I appreciate that. But I can't confront my aspirations if I keep pushing my emotions aside. You've been important to me in ways I'm still trying to understand." As she spoke, the room faded into the background, the scent of coffee, the soft murmur of patrons. Everything seemed distant. What was being expressed felt monumental, the air heavy with uncharted possibilities. Could she truly embrace both the risk of love and the pursuit of her professional vision? But then, another fear surfaced, one that sent a chill down her spine. What if pursuing her relationship with Alex jeopardized her ambitions? Could she risk it all for a possibility that lay untested? Their eyes locked, and suddenly Rebecca was aware of the choices ahead, her heart and mind teetering precariously. The moment was alive with potential and dread, pulling her in multiple directions. Just as she contemplated her response, the cafe door swung open, the bell ringing lightly. A rush of new energy spilled inside, and all heads turned. Standing in the doorway was a figure bathed in light, someone who seemed out of place yet undeniably powerful. Rebecca's breath caught in her throat. Who was this, and how would this encounter ripple through her already tumultuous decision? Uncertainty loomed again, but now paired with the thrill of the unknown. Would this moment be the push she needed to discern where her heart truly lay? Rebecca's gaze shifted from Alex to the figure that had just entered the cafe, her heart drumming a frenetic rhythm. The stranger, a tall woman with striking features and an air of confidence, seemed to command the room. She was distinctly out of place among the casual warmth of the coffee shop, yet somehow, she exuded an undeniable magnetism. "Rebecca, are you okay?" Alex's voice broke through her reverie, and she blinked, refocusing on him. Yes, I'm fine, she stammered, but her voice lacked conviction. The stranger had captured her attention, and with it, a burgeoning curiosity about the intersection of her personal and professional lives stirred within her. Sensing her distraction, Alex shifted in his seat, his brow furrowed slightly. We were talking about us. His words hung heavily between them, weighted with the vulnerability they both shared. Unexpectedly, the woman made her way toward their table. Hello. Sorry to interrupt, she said, a smile flashing like a beacon. I just couldn't help overhearing a portion of your conversation. You look like you're having an important discussion. This is private, Rebecca replied, her annoyance mixing with surprise. Who did this woman think she was, intruding on such a delicate moment? But instead of retreating, the woman leaned in. I know private discussions can feel like a tightrope walk. I'm Marissa, by the way, she introduced herself with an easy charm. I own a startup that focuses on bridging emotional intelligence with practical business strategies. Rebecca's annoyance faded into a reluctant intrigue. Marissa was clearly someone who did not shy away from challenging conversations, and she immediately sensed the layers of experience beneath her polished demeanor. Interesting, Alex said, an unexpected spark igniting in his eyes. That's something Rebecca is currently navigating, balancing personal feelings with professional responsibilities. Marissa's gaze settled on Rebecca, scrutinizing her with a keen interest. I understand the struggle well, Rebecca. Balancing ambition with relationships is tough. Sometimes it feels like they can't coexist. The frankness of Marissa's statement penetrated Rebecca's defenses, igniting a flicker of hope. Could this stranger offer insight into the very dilemmas that plagued her? What hidden competencies did she possess that perhaps she had yet to uncover? Have you found a way through that tension? Rebecca found herself asking, not just as a mere formality but with genuine curiosity. She could see Alex watching her, a mix of hope and encouragement painted across his face. Marissa leaned back, her expression thoughtful. I've learned that embracing vulnerability can be a powerful asset. When I first started my company, I was terrified to let people see my emotions. I thought it would make me weak. But instead, it opened doors I never knew existed. Rebecca felt the connection deepen, a resonance between her struggles and Marissa's path forward. This woman was, somehow, exactly what she needed in that moment. So, you're saying that accepting fear and emotion might actually fuel my ambitions? Absolutely, Marissa replied, her conviction unwavering. True leadership stems from authenticity. When you embrace all parts of yourself, both your fears and your aspirations, you'll find a strength you didn't know you had. Their conversation flowed smoothly, with Alex contributing from time to time, but the most impactful moments belonged to Rebecca and Marissa. Each insightful exchange was a small but significant revelation, guiding Rebecca further along her journey of self-discovery and professional fervor. With each shared experience and perspective, Rebecca felt herself challenged to confront her fears more directly. As the cafe's chatter faded into the background, Rebecca realized that connections were forming in multiple realms: her feelings for Alex, her professional aspirations, and now this intriguing interaction with Marissa. But this convergence also heightened her internal conflict. In an instant, a decision loomed before her. Although she had been hesitant to intertwine her personal life with her ambitions, perhaps the time had come to traverse that very line. Thank you, Marissa. Really, Rebecca managed to articulate. This has been enlightening, and I think I need to embrace both sides of myself moving forward. Just as resolve began to flourish within her, the cafe door swung open again. A man entered, his presence overshadowing the soft ambience. He approached their table, the intensity in his eyes locking onto Rebecca. Rebecca Lewis? He called, his voice igniting an anxious flutter in her chest. Why did he seem to know her name? What did he want? As uncertainty surged again, Rebecca realized that her moment of clarity might be eclipsed by another unexpected twist. What revelation awaited her just beyond the horizon? Rebecca's heart raced as the man drew closer, his determined strides cutting through the din of the cafe. Her mind raced with questions, each one spinning a web of anxiety. Who was he? Did he come here on business, or was there something more personal behind his approach? Can I help you? She managed to say, her voice steadier than she felt. This interaction felt suddenly charged, the energy between them thick with anticipation. The warmth of the cafe faded into an almost surreal backdrop as she sought to comprehend the reality of this unexpected confrontation. Rebecca Lewis. He said her name again, his voice low yet firm. We need to talk. It's urgent. His intensity unnerved her, igniting a mix of fear and intrigue within an unsettling juxtaposition of her burgeoning self-discovery with a sudden onslaught of external pressure. It struck her how easily the personal and professional realms collided, a theme she just began to grapple with in her conversation with Marissa. Who are you? She demanded, glancing at Alex, who watched with wide eyes, clearly as shocked as she was. I'm Ryan Carter, he replied, his expression unreadable but his gaze steady. I'm with Venture Partners. We've been monitoring your project proposals. A cascade of emotions flooded through her at this revelation. The tech startup she'd been working on for years, the one she felt was teetering on the edge of viability, was drawing attention from investors. That simplicity brought forth a new wave of adrenaline. But it was soon stifled by an unsettling sense of vulnerability. She remembered her conversation with Marissa, about embracing vulnerability, yet here standing before her was the embodiment of risk and reward, the business world she had both longed for and feared. What about my project? Ryan leaned slightly closer, lowering his voice as if sharing a secret. We're impressed, but we have concerns. I would like to discuss them with you in detail. Visa Communications needs a strong candidate to spearhead a pivot in the market, and we believe your ideas align with that need. In that moment, Rebecca faced an unmistakable realization. She stood at the threshold of opportunity, but it would demand sacrifices and clarity she wasn't sure she possessed. Rebecca, maybe we should listen to him, Alex interjected cautiously, sensing her internal struggle. She could see both hope and trepidation in his gaze. But was this what she wanted? To dive into the pressures of leadership through a new corporate venture while still unraveling her personal attachments? Just give me a moment, she said softly, needing to carve out space for a decision. She turned back to Ryan, who regarded her expectantly. Can you excuse us for a moment? The two stepped away from the table, her heart racing as they found a quiet corner. What exactly are you proposing? Rebecca asked, her voice trembling with equal parts courage and apprehension. Ryan folded his arms, grounding himself. We want to invest in your vision, but it requires commitment, travel, leadership changes, possibly leaving your current setup to start anew with our backing. It's a lot, Rebecca. The enormity of his words crashed over her like a surprise wave, pulling into question her current path, her burgeoning relationship with Alex, and everything she had built to this moment. A lot, indeed, Rebecca conceded, feeling the weighty implications of this proposition. The thought of separating her emotions from the logistics of business felt painfully akin to the emotional complexity she had navigated with Marissa earlier. Just as clarity began to swirl amidst her thoughts, the atmosphere tightened as a few nearby patrons turned their attention toward them. You face a choice, Rebecca, Ryan said, his voice steady yet filled with urgency. Step forward into a career that could redefine your future, but it will require you to confront every aspect of who you are. Rebecca's pulse quickened at his words, illuminating the crossroads before her. This was not just a path toward professional growth, it was a test of her identity, values, and the balance she yearned to achieve in both her private and business lives. Let me think about this, she replied, feeling the firm grip of determination form around her. As Ryan nodded and stepped back, the magnitude of her decision loomed larger than ever before. Would this be what finally propelled her from uncertainty into empowerment, or would it scatter the fragile connections she had just begun to forge with Alex and her own authentic self? The cafe buzzed around her as she turned back to Alex, who watched her with a new intensity, his thoughts mirrored in his expression. His presence provided an anchor amidst the chaos, yet it also intensified her internal dilemma further, to embrace the chaos of ambition while guarding their evolving relationship. Rebecca, he began, hesitation lacing his words, if this is what you want. Sometimes wanting something comes with a price, Alex, she interrupted quietly, grappling with the pervasive uncertainty that lay ahead, and at that moment, she knew the time would come when she would have to decide whether to navigate the turbulent waters of ambition alone or to let herself be buoyed by the connection that had slowly flourished with Alex. As she inhaled deeply, the door of opportunity swung open wider before her. What awaited her on the other side, fulfillment or disillusionment? The answers would not only reshape her career but her very identity. It was a fine line between discovery and ambition, and she'd soon be forced to choose her path. Rebecca stood beside Alex, feeling the crests of uncertainty wash over her thoughts like relentless tides. The cafe's clamor faded into a dull hum, replaced by the fearsome chorus of her doubts. She needed to center herself, to sift through the urgency of Ryan's proposition, the reality of her aspirations, and the weight of the emotional connections that now entwined her life. "What do you think?" Alex asked, breaking the taut silence. His eyes held an eagerness but also the shadow of concern. In that moment, Rebecca understood that this decision would not only affect her professional trajectory but also the delicate fabric of their relationship. She sensed a magnetic pull between them that both excited and frightened her. Rebecca shifted, searching for the right words. "I know this could be a chance to finally step into something bigger, but leaving everything I've built feels monumental." Her voice trembled slightly, reflecting the turmoil within. Alex nodded, his expression encouraging yet serious. "But what if this is the breakthrough you've been waiting for? You've poured your heart into those proposals." Her mind raced with possibilities. Venture partners represented not just investment but a paradigm shift capable of catapulting her into a realm she had only dared to dream about. This was ambition stretching its arms wide open, beckoning her forward into the unknown. Yet, what lay in this venture's shadow? A potential disconnection from everything familiar and valuable. On one hand, a leap into success could empower me, to finally use my vision for something substantial, she continued, the words spilling out, half-formed yet potent. On the other, am I willing to risk my heart? My connection with you, Alex? You won't be alone, Rebecca, Alex countered, the steeliness slowly creeping into his voice. I'll be here. But you have to make this choice for yourself. It's your vision at stake. His sincerity struck her, lighting a path through the thicket of her unease. Rebecca swallowed against the lump forming in her throat. She needed clarity, a fortitude she often doubted existed within her. What if this moment, this choice could be the turning point not just in her career but in how she viewed herself? Would she rise above her fears and self-imposed limitations? Maybe I need to separate the personal from business, she reflected aloud, testing the idea. If Ryan thinks I'm capable, maybe I can convince myself, too. The thought inspired a flicker of hope, but also a pang of hesitation. As they spoke, Ryan lingered nearby, exuding an aura of anticipation and pressure. He seemed to sense her internal battle, quietly waiting for her to unravel the tangled threads of her decision. It was clear he expected her to take the plunge, to assert her worth and potential boldly. Rebecca turned her gaze back to Alex. What if this corporate reality destroys what I've begun to build with us? Anxiety threaded through her voice, but beneath it lay an undercurrent of determination. Picturing herself stepping out into the world, standing up as a leader rather than merely a passive participant, could she accomplish that without compromising her evolving personal life? It's not about choosing one over the other, Alex interjected. It's about integrating all parts of who you are. Your passion, your drive, them being intertwined with our connection. Her heart steadied at his words, but self-doubt threatened to nip at her heels. Could she redefine success without losing love? Ryan, she called, her voice resolving into purpose as she approached him. I want to hear your concerns. Let us discuss this opportunity more seriously. The resounding power of her words surprised her, as if a dormant force had awakened. Ryan met her gaze, the intrigue in his expression hinting at the potential that lay ahead. I think you'll find the conversations resonate with what you truly desire. As she took a deep breath, Rebecca felt the shifting terrain beneath her. The stakes grew higher, she stood on the cusp of transformation. This was not merely a decision about a job, it was an assertion of her identity, a step closer to her full potential. But what of her relationship with Alex? That remained a vibrant thread in her tapestry, one she refused to cut even as she stepped into an uncertain future. "Let us go for it," she declared, her pulse quickening as she embraced the moment. Yet with this leap toward her future, she could feel the weight of expectations pressing down harder, both her own and those imposed on her. For the first time, Rebecca felt the exhilarating yet terrifying prospect of fully taking command of her existence. This was the moment she needed to seize, to meld her professional aspirations with the emotional landscape she had begun to nurture. Now, as Ryan led her and Alex into discussions that would shape the very core of her career, she couldn't shake the clouds of doubt. What if this journey revealed facets of herself she wasn't prepared to face? But there was no turning back now. She was ready to confront the complexities of ambition and connection. What lay ahead was both thrilling and daunting, and for the first time, she could almost taste what success might bring. But as the conversation evolved, a deep-seated worry began to whisper in the back of her mind. Would ambition demand too high a cost, and would she still emerge whole from it? The next meeting would be pivotal, but a shadow of uncertainty lingered, its weight ever constant, as she prepared to take that first step into her new life. Rebecca's heart raced as she stood at the threshold of a monumental decision. The cafe, once a comforting backdrop, now loomed like a stage upon which her life was set to unfold. Ryan's enthusiasm sparked a fire within her that she couldn't ignore, yet the coolness of doubt clung to her like a winter coat. They sat at a table that felt like the epicenter of her future, an unassuming locale now charged with electric potential. She felt Alex's presence like an anchor, but also as a reminder of everything she stood to lose. Her fingers traced the rim of her coffee cup, a nervous habit that hinted at the tumult beneath her surface. "Rebecca," Ryan began, leaning forward, gauging her reaction. "Your proposal genuinely separates itself from the others. Venture Partners could be a new home for your work." His voice held an air of conviction that ignited her ambition. A new home. A fresh start beckoning her toward growth, yet a small voice in her head whispered reminders of the fragile grasses she treaded upon. "I appreciate that, Ryan. But it's not merely about the numbers or the pitch, it's about aligning with a vision. Can I truly fit into that new culture?" Ryan smirked, sensing the gears turning in her mind. "That's the magic of partnership. It's about collaboration and support. You get to retain your essence while contributing to something bigger." Rebecca's mind flitted back to Alex's words about integration, her aspiration and personal life woven together, forming a tapestry rich with experience, challenges, and connections. But was she ready to explore that potential, or did taking this leap mean tearing apart the fabric she had so carefully stitched? She cleared her throat, feeling the weight of possibility pressing her shoulders. What would success look like for us both? Ryan leaned back, considering her words. Success is subjective. For you, it could mean financial frameworks, project lifetimes, or leadership roles. You'd have to be prepared to advocate for yourself, bring others' visions into one cohesive plan. A rush of determination surged within her. This was more than numbers, this was about leadership, establishing her identity as a creator of value in every interaction. Suddenly, doubt seemed less imposing. And what if I fail? If I can't deliver? Failure is merely a stepping stone in growth, Ryan encouraged, his tone sincere. Each setback can teach you something invaluable about your capabilities and resilience. The prospect of failure was frightening, yet exhilarating. It became a pivot point, a challenge she couldn't turn away from. Rebecca turned her gaze to Alex, who remained supportive, seemingly confident in her ability to forge ahead. She felt a swell of conviction even as the uncertainty crawled beneath her skin. Integrating all parts of who I am, she murmured to herself. Could I turn this chaos into synergy? Encouraged by her own flickers of insight, she straightened her shoulders, resolve solidifying within her. I want to dive deeper into this, Ryan. If this means showcasing what's possible, I'd like to take the next steps. But I need a clear path forward. As the conversation intensified, a barrage of ideas and commitments, Rebecca's heart pounded with newfound clarity. Every notion they exchanged further illuminated her vision. Alex's gaze remained steadfast, a source of solace amid the storm of her thoughts. Yet, as enthusiasm surged, dread quietly whispered from the corners of her mind, what if she failed to balance it all? Would she have the strength to manage the tides of her professional aspirations and the nurturing elements of her personal life? Let us set a time to follow up, create an actionable plan that leads us toward your goals, Ryan proposed, delight evident in his expression. As they finalized details, Rebecca knew danger lurked in the ambitious leap she was preparing to take. Each decision would gradually redefine how she saw herself, but with every choice came a risk of losing pieces of her identity along the way. Let us make this happen, she said, the conviction threading through her heartbeat. As the meeting adjourned, Rebecca couldn't shake the looming specter of concern. It was time to confront her fears head-on, but this moment to decide to embrace her potential had opened a door she was unsure she could close again. As she glanced at Alex, something tightened within her. The question loomed, would love survive this new expansion, or would ambition strip away the affection they had built? With the meeting concluded, her journey was just beginning, and what lay ahead would test not just her capabilities but also the bonds that tethered her to her heart. But would ambition demand a sacrifice too great to bear? The next steps could bring clarity, or they might unravel the very fabric she fought to maintain. Rebecca emerged from the cafe, her mind a storm of thoughts. Outside, the crisp air wrapped around her, invigorating yet cold enough to induce shivers. She could feel Alex's anxious gaze as they stepped into the bustling city streets, the clamor of life around them matching the chaos in her heart. The decision to pursue a partnership with venture partners was monumental. Suddenly, her personal and professional lives were intertwined in ways she hadn't anticipated. "Are you okay?" Alex asked, his voice cutting through her reverie. "I think so," she replied, forcing a smile. But the uncertainty nagged at her. How could she reassure him when she felt so adrift? She needed to find clarity. As they wandered away from the cafe, Rebecca's thoughts began to coalesce into a plan. This wasn't only about seizing a career opportunity, it was about evolving herself in ways she hadn't expected. She felt the undercurrents of ambition and doubt juxtaposed starkly within her, like a pendulum swinging toward the unknown. "Let us take a walk in the park," she suggested, craving open space. It would be a chance to think. Clarity often emerged during quiet moments surrounded by nature. They found a bench beneath the bright orange and yellow leaves. With every crisp crunch underfoot, the sight of the changing seasons stirred something within her. Transformation was constant, it didn't have to be daunting. "I was thinking about what success means for me," she began, her fingers fiddling with her watch. "It's more than just achieving goals. It's about who I want to be. Leading with authenticity isn't just a mantra, it feels essential now." Alex listened intently, his expression understanding. "That's a significant realization. But what about the risks? You mentioned the fear of failure." "Exactly," she nodded, her brow furrowing. "What if in aiming high, I lose sight of everything else? Of us? It feels selfish to pursue this dream and leave parts of my life behind, especially when my heart wants stability." He took a deep breath, visibly trying to absorb her anxiety. "You're not selfish for wanting more, Rebecca. We all grow, and sometimes that growth means changing circumstances. It's about balance. Do you think you can manage both your ambitions and our relationship?" The vulnerability in his question pierced through her defenses. It was one thing to pursue her career, but the real challenge lay in forging a new path that embraced love while chasing dreams. Her journey demanded commitment, not just to herself but also to the people she cared about. "Maybe it starts with small steps," she contemplated. "Setting individual goals while creating room for our relationship to breathe and grow. I need to articulate what I need: boundaries, time, support, all while pursuing my project." "You could have a legitimate project plan laid out," he suggested matter-of-factly. With clear timelines that allow you space for integration with me. The concept excited her, the idea of navigating this duality rather than letting it tear her apart. She jotted down notes in her mind, determining the specifics. More importantly, she realized she needed to approach this venture as a collaborative project, not just a solo endeavor. But am I ready to risk this? She pondered aloud. Will that planning change my dynamics with you? Will I prioritize you, or will I drown in this ambition? Why not bring me along into that journey? He asked, eyes shimmering with compassion. You don't have to figure it all out alone. In fact, it could deepen our connection instead of driving a wedge. His words lingered like the moments of sunset light filtering through the trees. Could vulnerability become a source of strength rather than division? She felt a burgeoning determination ignite within her, the fire of purpose fanned by the prospect of merging her ambitions with meaningful relationships. Her thoughts were racing. She needed to confront her fears, evaluate what sacrifices might emerge. Could she cultivate this balance without losing sight of her identity? With newfound commitment, she placed her hand over Alex's. And squeezed. Let us create a strategic outline together. Let us define what it means for both of us. Just then, her phone buzzed fervently in her pocket, a notification that sent an anxious ripple through her. With a quick glance, she saw it was Ryan following up about a project proposal. An opportunity awaited, the end of her uncertainty creeping closer, yet it pulled her further into the unknown. Her heart thundered. What would her first steps look like? Would this fresh start elevate her beyond expectations, or would it challenge everything she cherished? Rebecca? Alex's voice drew her back, perhaps sensing her hesitation. She needed to respond, not just to Ryan but to all that awaited her. The gravitational pull of potential was swelling, beckoning her toward a decision unfathomable just days ago. With resolve pressing her forward, she looked back at him, knowing she was on the brink. In that suspended moment, a critical question flickered at the periphery of her thoughts: what happens when ambitions clash with the ones we love? Her next choice would be transformative, and every unforeseen possibility loomed just beyond her grasp. Rebecca stood at the crossroads, her heart pounding and her mind racing with possibilities. She had embarked on a remarkable journey over the past few months, a transformation fueled by her desire to provide a better life for her son, Jake, and to forge a greater purpose in her own life. Today, she would make the decisions that would seal her fate, not just professionally but personally. After her meeting with Ryan Carter, everything had shifted. This opportunity at Venture Partners wasn't just a job offer, it was a chance to reaffirm her identity and leverage her unique experiences as a single mother. But as she walked with Alex through the park, feeling an urgent need to clarify their relationship amid her ambitions, she could sense the stakes rising. Alex, I'm stepping into an arena that feels exhilarating yet terrifying. If I go forward with this investment, I need you to understand what's at play and what it requires of me, she said resolutely, taking his hand to heighten the moment's intimacy. I want you to succeed, Rebecca, but I also want to be part of your journey. Can we work together on this? His eyes, a mix of hope and concern, pinned her in place. The question resonated, echoing her inner resolve. Could she meld her professional aspirations with their burgeoning relationship? It was time to prioritize not just her dreams, but also the people who supported her. She was no longer alone in this. I think we can. Let us create a clear plan that allows me to chase this vision while keeping our relationship strong, she replied, her voice steady. A wave of relief washed over her as ideas started to take shape. They would establish boundaries, timelines, and expectations, creating a map for their intertwined futures. With every step they took down the path, Rebecca felt the uncertainty begin to clear. She would articulate her needs, set parameters for success, and communicate openly with Alex about the shifting dynamics that would accompany this opportunity. I want us to support each other, grow together, she continued, the weight of her responsibilities expressed openly for the first time. Let us surround ourselves with what positively affects us. I have to believe I can pursue my professional identity without compromising our connection. Rebecca could see the understanding behind Alex's gaze. You won't just be stepping into this opportunity alone, we'll take it step by step together. With finality, she squeezed his hand tighter, feeling the warmth pulse between them, an unspoken agreement solidifying their bond. This path ahead wouldn't be devoid of challenges, but they would face them side by side. Moreover, the lessons she had gathered along the way began to crystallize into awareness. She realized that navigating ambition and romance didn't require sacrificing one for the other. Instead, maybe embracing both was the truest form of growth. As they returned home that evening, Rebecca felt a profound sense of empowerment. Up until now, she had been living in a frantic pace, balancing work among the emotional intricacies of her life. But with the clarity of purpose, she'd been able to transform her fears into excitement. Her aspirations were no longer agonizingly separate from the loving relationship she shared with Alex. Finally, with every ounce of determination fueling her, she drafted her plans for venture partners, outlining not just the professional elements but how she could adapt her personal life to support her career. Weeks passed, and as Rebecca immersed herself in the strategy sessions, she felt her confidence solidify with each meeting. Her project proposal gained traction, and with Jake's laughter echoing around her home, Rebecca embraced the duality of her world, mother and professional. Validation came as she received an email from Ryan expressing genuine optimism about the project's potential impact. It solidified her recognition not just as a proposal writer, but as a leader with influence and vision, someone capable of contributing to community growth. Meanwhile, her relationship with Alex blossomed. Alongside her career, they established routines that allowed quiet moments in their busy lives, affirming their support for one another. Looking back at where she had begun, struggling between professional ambition and personal responsibilities, feeling torn and inadequate, Rebecca now stood in front of the mirror, reflecting a powerful version of herself, confident, competent, and whole. She had conquered her fears, navigated the complexities of ambition and love, and emerged not only as a successful professional but as a grounded individual ready to take on anything life threw her way. This was at her moment of achievement. Rebecca smiled at her reflection, ready for the world that lay ahead. The journey had required courage and tenacity, and now she embodied those qualities. With a newfound sense of fulfillment and pride, she embraced the path forward, knowing she had truly found her place in both her personal and professional worlds. As the closing credits flickered on the screen, a powerful urge coursed through. You need to subscribe now to witness more incredible transformations. Leave a like now to propel these stories into the spotlight. Comment with your thoughts and theories about Rebecca's journey. Don't wait even one more second to share this video with at least 5 friends who crave inspiration and personal growth. Your support is vital, and only true fans of overcoming adversity can appreciate its importance.